welcome everybody. Hello, and welcome. My name is Maurice Mitchell. I'm the National Director of the Working Families Party. And we're here to honor and celebrate an amazing foot soldier, organizer, people's movement, candidate, and elected official. I'm talking about no other than Congresswoman Cori Bush. And we're here also because Cori needs us, and it's time that we fight for her. It's time that we fight for the elected officials who fight for us instead of organized capital. And this is our opportunity to do that. Now, if you've been watching the Democratic primaries this year, you've no doubt seen a disturbing trend. Republicans and a sliver of opportunistic corporate Democrats that love them have been inserting themselves into primaries where progressives are running all over the country. Now, right-wing corporate billionaire money, Republican money is flowing into Democratic primaries like never before. Now, they see the same thing that we see. All these Democratic retirements mean the character and agenda of the Democratic caucus for the next, 10, 20, or even more years will be decided by how these primaries go. And since Republicans can't win in most of these districts, they're trying to block progressives from gaining power and insert the most subservient, business-friendly, anti-people Democrats they could find. People we like to call corporate Democrats, right? People like Cori Bush, we call working families Democrats because they care about the interest of everyday working families. Now, I implore you to look beneath identity. Some of these Democrats in name only are women. Some of them are people of color. And they may even have some liberal or progressive positions on safe mainstream issues, but they are not for us. Now, today, they have spent around $100 million in Democratic primaries for Congress. And there's a new super PAC that AIPAC has established that alone is spending $20 million. And now a Republican-backed group is now working against Cori Bush. But let me tell you why we love Cori. When the eviction moratorium was set to expire, potentially harming her constituents and constituents all over the country, it was Cori who sounded the alarm and was instrumental in getting it extended. It was Cori who confronted Vice President Harris about this. When abortion rights were under attack, it was Cori down in front of her local Planned Parenthood. It was Cori on the front lines in DC getting arrested. When we need Cori, Cori shows up for us. And now it's our turn to have her back and show up for her on her birthday of all days. So now I'd like to introduce the host of this fundraising event. He is an Oscar award-winning filmmaker. You might know him from writing and directing classics like Anchorman and Step Brothers, or political films like The Big Short, Vice, and most recently, Don't Look Up. Ladies, gentlemen, family of all stripes, welcome Adam McKay.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And damn, I think you said it really well. I think the whole thing I was going to talk about is that, let's be honest, I mean, we really only have a few dozen representatives in Washington, D.C. who aren't drenched in dirty money. And I don't mean that as a personal attack towards anyone. That is the system that over the course of the last 40, 50 years that has been developed. America is very unique. We've created legalized corruption. It's Citizen United, money is speech. It's the Ted Cruz decision from the Supreme Court. And it's revolving door jobs. And it's really captured our system. So when someone like Congresswoman Bush gets through, you got to treasure that. I mean, that's a unicorn event. And of course, the big money is coming for her. And it's going to be whatever, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. It's big corporate money that is worried she's going to raise their taxes, make them accountable to workers, make them accountable to the climate, which I think we all know is becoming, it always was the story, but now it's really the story. And so Congresswoman Bush we gotta lay everything down to protect her, and it's her birthday. So when you talk about someone who's this honest, this true, and then it's their birthday, you lay everything down for them. But yeah, I just, my gratitude towards people like Cori, AOC, Bernie, it just is endless, because there are people that somehow, amidst that dirty system in DC, where once again, a lot of corruption has been very legalized, and we're coming for that. We're definitely coming for that. But to see real human beings get through that gauntlet and get into DC, it is miraculous, and it fills my heart with hope and possibility. And we're not letting Cori lose this seat. It ain't happening.
Right on.
Whatever needs to happen, we're doing it. We're doing it. I don't care. We'll block doorways. We'll raise dough. We'll shoot commercials, like whatever you need, Cori. We love you. We're here for you. And most of all, happy birthday.
Right on. So Adam, while we have you, and before we introduce Cori, I do have a question, because some people might be really interested and intrigued by how, the writer and director of, classics like Anchorman and Step Brothers is playing such a critical role in organizing and lifting up these issues. So maybe it'd be helpful if you might share for a minute how you got interested in using and leveraging art and media and your platform as a venue for activism.
What a great question. So the big thing for me is I grew up in a single family home. My mom was a waitress, and we grew up with food stamps. We grew up, we were the family that the church would give the gifts to. And by the way, I've got white privilege. I'm a man. I have a lot of advantages just off living in the US, but we were broke. But I grew up in the 70s, into the 80s, and that was a time where our government was really still kind of working. And if you look at the trend lines from that time, as far as poverty rates, and you look at the civil rights movement, the women's rights movements, the Latino rights movement, Latina rights movement, there were a lot of really good things happening. So I was very lucky. And then when it came time to go to college, we had no money. And I went to Temple University, and I'll never forget, you know what I paid every semester? $800. And so I was very, very lucky. And because of all of that, I got to go and do comedy and write sketches and go to Second City in Chicago and start the Upright Citizens Brigade and get hired by SNL, and then eventually became a filmmaker. So for me, it was never really an effort. This was always what I was tied into. If you look at the stuff I was writing at SNL, if you look at what I was doing at Second City, which is a kind of famous comedy theater in Chicago for those of you who don't know, and even the Upright Citizens Brigade, we were always doing, societal, political stuff, but we wanted it to be funny. So when I saw this turn happening in our country towards fascism, towards and remember, the original definition as outlined by Mussolini of fascism is the merger of the corporation and the state. And let's face it, that's where we're at right now. So when I saw that happening, I just reacted very viscerally, and that's kind of led me through the years to be active. I've always been politically active, but lately my movies and TV shows have gotten more overtly about kind of the horrible situation that the US and to some degree the world is in.
Right. And let's actually take that a little bit further. So you ended on that note about how your more recent efforts have been a little bit more explicitly or overtly political. That brings to mind Don't Look Up. And, I think there's been a pretty intense reaction to that film. And I'm curious, how are you taken the initial media reaction, right? Which I think included some hand wringing. But recently, right, just this past week, there's a spate of, over 100-degree weather across Europe and across the United States, across the world. And, the climate crisis is ever more present. How do you wrestle with that? Like, do you feel a sense of, I don't know, vindication that the movie was prescient? Is it frustrating that the movie is as popular as it is, but the gears of change are still working as slowly as it is, as we see people like Senator Manchin thwart the legislation in Congress? How are you wrestling with all these things, given the release of that movie?
I mean, once again, these are core questions because we made that movie out of a very personal place. And I'm a big believer that the personal is universal, that the pains, the anxieties, the doubts, the fragility that we all feel. And I think this is why Congresswoman Bush is so powerful, because she doesn't hold that back. So that movie, Don't Look Up, was made from that place. And so was Vice, Succession, The Big Short. So I got to admit, I was surprised because we had screened Don't Look Up for numerous audiences. I make populist films. I'm not making films for, an elite crowd. I'm making films to really connect with people. And we had never had any response like we got from the critics. And we were all blindsided. We were just like, whoa, there was this anger and vitriol. And by the way, when I say critics, I don't mean all critics, because our social media world loves to do that. Whatever you say, they'll say like you're saying everyone. There are like 1,000 movie critics, and I think like well more than half of them enjoyed the movie. But there were a dozen or maybe 20 that were like really angry. And it confused us. And then as time went by, I sort of realized what was behind it. Number one, I mean, it's a comedy. So some people think things are funny, some people don't. That's a given. But I also realized like, oh yeah, we live in a bit of a gaslight community. Our culture in America, as you guys all know very well, loves to gaslight people and act like poverty is not a problem. And act like the collapse of the livable climate, you're an extremist. Act like corruption in DC, the money taking it over. Well, be a grown up. That's how it works. Act like inflation is the problem with inflation is working people are being paid too much. That kind of nonsense. We're chest deep in it as Americans. And I realized like, oh yeah, we kind of went at that pretty hard. But ultimately, my relationship with that movie was one of the most wonderful experiences I've ever had. 350 to 400 million people saw the movie. It resonated with them. And I kind of realized like, yeah, there's a group of people that are going to come for you when you do that kind of stuff. But I feel stronger than ever coming out of it. I mean, my Lord, did I take some knocks. And I now feel like I've moved past that. And I think, we're talking about a movie. I mean, that's small time stuff. But I think when you look at Congresswoman Bush's movement and the movement of the people around her, that's real big time stuff. And I think we should all remember that like we're dealing with a system that has been captured by big money. And that system includes the media. It includes a certain cultural level that a lot of people have grown up in. And we got to be willing to take that punch to the jaw, that shot to the ribs, and keep moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's, one thing I wanted to share with you, and I think Congresswoman Bush is coming up soon, but, you mentioned this being a moment where we have to take risk, right? And, I would love for you to share a little bit about how you're beginning to experiment. Well, actually, I think we might have Congresswoman Bush on. So I'm super excited because, I have the privilege of emceeing, so I get to introduce our guest of honor. And, one of the reasons why we're doing this, and one of the reasons why all of us are coming together, is because we recognize something special in Congresswoman Bush. For those of you that don't know, Congresswoman Bush was one of the intrepid and uncommonly courageous people in St. Louis that were on the front lines of the protest movement there, day in, day out, risking so much in order to defend the lives of everyday working class Black folks who faced the injustice of our criminal legal system and just wanted to eke out a life and have dignity, and have government work for them. And she translated that fierce urgency and passion into a movement that then became an electoral movement where so many people in the establishment said that she couldn't win. And she organized and she ran and she came close. And then she was undeterred and she ran again. And she defeated an incumbent congressperson, which is one of the hardest things anybody could do in politics. And she did it with a movement around her. And now that she's in government, she continues to have a movement around her. However, the empire strikes back. And so there are those that want to interrupt that journey. And we're here to introduce her, but also to ensure that we have her back, her side, her front. And so with no further ado, I'd like to introduce the People's Congresswoman, Congresswoman Cori Bush. Give it up for her.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Mo, for the introduction and just always holding it down for just all of us. We appreciate you so much. Sorry for the delay. I know that we're a little behind, but let me just say I was in a room with a room full of ministers and preachers, and we're making as many meetings as we can, and that takes a little time.
All good, and it's all good. And Cori, before we let you speak, I'd like to introduce Nalini Stamp to come in to the conversation. And the reason I'm bringing Nalini in, actually a brother and an elder and a great artist and a movement person who can't be here, Danny Glover, also one of the things, shares a birthday with you and wanted to come to wish you happy birthday. However, what we'd like to do right now, before you say anything else as a community, is to wish you happy birthday. So Nell, please start us off.
Hey y'all, calling in from Warsaw in Poland, and came to this event to make sure that I can sing happy birthday. And of course, I'm gonna sing the Stevie Wonder version, but happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, Cori. Happy birthday so much.
Let's give it up. Nalini Stamp and all of us sending birthday love to you, Congresswoman.
Oh gosh.
Now we open the floor to you.
Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. And you're on the Zoom all the way from Warsaw, Poland. Thank you so much. I don't know what time it is there, but thank you. That was beautiful, you all. Thank you. It's been a great birthday. We have Representative Ayanna Pressley in town, Representative Rashida Tlaib just left, and Representative Ilhan Omar is here as well. We're celebrating today. So, but good afternoon, everyone. So excited to be here with all of you today. And just thank you again so much for taking the time and your resources that you are giving to my campaign for this re-election. Thank you for your time, your talent, your treasure. Again, I'm Congresswoman Cori Bush, proudly representing St. Louis in the U.S. Congress, and beyond excited, beyond honored to be able to be on this Zoom with the one and only Adam McKay, one of the most important storytellers when it comes to our movement for climate and environmental justice right now. So I'm still just very, very much in shock that we get to have this moment together again. So, I was scrolling and I'm sorry, so much is happening. I'm moving around. So I was scrolling. It's all the things.
Oh, no, wait, by the way, Cori, we understand you are, the reason you're there, the reason we love you, the reason we're all here to celebrate you as well as, back and support you is because you do the work. You're not just taking the super PAC handout. You're not taking the revolving door job. Like, hey, Cori, you could work at our law firm when you're done. Like, you know why you're there. You know the stakes. You know that people suffer when people don't represent them in DC. And when they do, they don't. And we love you. We support you and anything you need. And I'm going to wrap all of that in a just big cotton candy happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You don't have to do this, and all of the folks that you all brought together on this call, you don't have to be here. But thank you, because we only have 11 more days left to win this seat, win this re-election. And those that are one of my opponents who's taking all the, who's trying to get the corporate PAC money, let me say that, who is receiving money through PACs, who is running a very dirty, disgusting campaign against us. We are still holding firm. We're holding strong. We're ready to get to the end and win this and be victorious. I think about, I was saying earlier, scrolling on Twitter, I saw this video pop up, and it's got like a million likes at this point. And so I know that many of you all probably have seen it too. It was a clip from Don't Look Up, the scene that where Kate is on the newscast talking about the fact that like the world is going to end, and the newscasters are trying to spin it into something positive. And then it cuts to a clip from the news in the UK from just a few days ago, where this meteorologist is warning of the potential deadly consequences of the extreme heat that they're experiencing. I know we have some heat, but it's not as bad as theirs. And the newscasters are just like downplaying it and enjoying sunshine. Oh, enjoy the sunshine, hang out. Adam, your work, it's just really captured what it's like to live in a world where we see and feel like what's coming, and our society refuses to act, even in the, looking it in the face, just like, the tourist visit, January 6th. So the timing of this conversation could be more crucial, and I just appreciate you all. So 11 days left. I only have, I'm trying to get more on TV, we're on TV, but I'm trying to increase that. We are trying to put people on phones, for phone banking, and so much. We're asking people to promote us on social media. We're just trying to do all the things in the last 11 days, because this other thing is very important. So the person that I am, one of the people, there are 4 men in the race against me. One of them is a multiple time credibly accused sexual assaulter, and a credibly accused rapist. But because of money, but because this person's family has money, and because they're connected politically, this person is able to be the one that the media pushes out, the one where I'm being asked to, show why me versus this person, when it stops at just that I'm not, that I don't have that background. So I want to I don't want to just win this seat again. I want to win it big, because I want to send a message that folks like Donald Trump, that folks like the person that's in the race against me, that folks like in my state, we have a person named Eric Greitens running for U.S. Senate, who has a horrible background as well, or as far as abusing women, that these folks don't belong in representing anyone that they can get help, but running for office is not where they should be. So, but anyway, I'd love to have your help as we get through these next 11 days. And I appreciate all of you again for taking the time.
Well, thank you so much, Congresswoman Bush. And we don't want to take any more of your precious campaign time. We know what to do. We got our marching orders. Again, we're flanking you. And we're not going to ensure that you just defeat these folks and these credibly, these folks who have credible allegations of sexual abuse and rape. And on top of it are being bankrolled by the corporate lobbies and by the right wing. We need to make sure that we completely defeat them, that we mollywop them, that we end their political careers. And we got 11 days to do that. So on behalf of all of us, we thank you. We're going to allow you to sign out, Congresswoman Bush. And also, Adam, thank you so much for your leadership in Hollywood and also your leadership as an activist and artist. And we salute you. So we appreciate you all and thank you both and we'll see you all later.
Again, to Congresswoman Bush, we love you, strength, and happy birthday.
Right on. Thank you, Adam. And now I want to bring back Nalini Stamp, who is the Director of Strategy and Partnerships for the Working Families Party, a longtime electoral organizer, social movement organizer for almost 15 years, and Hannah Fertig, who manages the independent expenditure at Justice Democrats. And before this, we were lucky at the New York Working Families Party to call her a close comrade. And before that, worked on Bernie's 2016 and 2020 campaigns. So welcome both. So Hannah, can you tell us a little bit about the work that Justice Dems, folks like WP and others are doing to ensure we re-elect Cori?
Yes, I would love to. So, we're really lucky. Justice Democrats, Working Families Party, and some amazing local groups, some of which are on the call in Missouri, are putting together an independent effort to support Congresswoman Bush next month. What we're really focused on right now is letting people know that the election is happening and that they should re-elect Congresswoman Bush. We're doing that. We're running a robust organizing program on the ground that our folks in the community are taking lead on. And in addition to that, you all are the first to know who are here. There is going to be a new ad coming out very soon. So we're excited to share that with the world and have folks remember to vote for Congresswoman Bush.
Right on. And we appreciate all the work that you and Justice Democrats do every year in order to elevate working people's champions in Congress. And I just want to take a moment before we go to Nalini to thank our supporters, Matt Johnson, Ari Gold, Mark Ruffalo, Adam, who we just saw, and his wife, Shara, Jan Goodman. And also, we're going to be sharing links on social media so folks could donate and volunteer. So look for those links. Now, Nalini, we already heard from Adam, but tell us some of the ways artists can make a difference in building movement for change.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. It's great to be here, calling from across the pond, way across. And here's the thing, with the Working Families Party, we believe that culture shifts politics and not the other way around. So we've been organizing artists, entertainers, folks who have been on the front lines, especially during the pandemic, to make sure that we are using culture to shift the dialogue and shift the conversation. There are so many cultural communities out there. It might sound a little bit weird, but video gamers, Real Housewives fans, people, Comic-Con fans, people who actually believe that they have a community with one another. And it's going to take that to organize against, especially the far right and also corporate Democrats. Reason being is because for many, many years, the far right has been using video games and different cultural spheres online that have been making sure that people are organized and in their communities and doing that work. So we're excited at the Working Families Party to be continuing stuff like Joy to the Polls, which was the largest music mobilization in 2020 outside of polling places. We are excited to organize actors, artists, entertainers to use their platforms, but also to use their culture to shift the dialogue and shift public consciousness. And we're excited to be making sure and being one of many to do some fandom organizing. We have launched Real Housewives of Politics, which is going to be organizing Real Housewives fans across the country, which is the largest TV show watched by women 18 to 49 years old in this country. And I'm super excited that we are going to be using culture as a tool to shift politics. Also, just make, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, now.
So one of the ways that you can participate in shifting culture, shifting politics, shifting all of that stuff is you can text JOY to 30403. That allows you to get involved with our artist program, our cultural program, to make sure that artists, culture changers, influencers, content creators are at the front lines of our movements, helping us shift culture. Thanks, y'all.
Right on. Thank you so much, Nalini. And you heard it, text JOY to 30403 to connect with that work. And I just want to, thank Hannah for the work that she and Justice Democrats are doing, and thank Nalini for the work that she's doing. And this is really all hands on deck moment where all of our organizations are just digging in and finding a place to collaborate so that we can lift folks like Cori to the finish line. Thank you both. And here we have Josh Hutcherson, and you might know him from the Hunger Games. Also, he's well known as a Bernie surrogate, and he has his own personal birthday message for Cori.
Hello, I'm Josh Hutcherson, and I want to say happy birthday to Cori Bush. Please keep doing what you're doing. Keep up the good fight. We're with you. Happy birthday.
So now I'd like to introduce two other folks who are on the front lines of this work. First, I'd like to introduce Leah Hunt Hendricks, who is a co-founder of Way to Win, a network of progressive political donors. And she also directs Way to Lead, its affiliated PAC. And Joe Dinkin, who is WFP's national campaigns director and is an electoral veteran who loves helping progressive underdogs win elections up and down the ballot. So Leah, your organization Way to Win, which I swoon over, was one of the first big supporters of Cori in her first run. Can you tell us, why did you do that? And tell us a little bit about Way to Win.
Thanks, Maurice. Well, yes, we have been organizing progressive political donors for almost a decade now. We really founded Way to Win after Trump's election, but we knew that we had to organize money. We need organized people, organize ideas, and organize money. And so we've been organizing donors so that we can coordinate around different political campaigns and support progressive organizations. We started supporting Justice Democrats when it was first getting launched. We've supported Working Families Party, and we're so proud of the relationship and the work that we've all done together. And Justice Democrats has done such a fantastic job recruiting. Some people might have seen the movie Knock Down the House, where AOC is there with Cori Bush in their first run in 2018. And Cori continued to fight and push through that year and ran and won her election in 2020. And she has just been such a pillar of the progressive movement over the past years. She's been just, I think, an amazingly effective politician and organizer in Congress. And so we're just really excited to be on this journey with her and supporting her every step of the way. You can't elect people and then sort of leave them, throw them to the wolves in Congress and leave them there alone. So we know that we have to stick together through this journey.
Right on. We have to stick together. And that brings me to Joe. It feels like the stakes are even higher for us this election cycle to stick together. More and more folks are spending a lot of money to tear us apart and drown us with their outside money and try to defeat champions like Cori. So what's it been like fighting back against the big money coming in for Republicans and corporate forces this year, Joe?
I'm so proud to be here as part of Cori Bush's birthday bash today. Happy birthday to Cori Bush. Happy birthday to Danny Glover, who didn't get to see with us today. But Mo, I just want to say the amount of money that has seeped into politics this year, and especially into Democratic primaries this year, has been completely without precedent. So there have been incredible victories for progressives over the past couple of cycles. Cori Bush's first victory, AOC's first victory. There's been incredible momentum we saw 2022 as that was going to be the biggest year ever. And the reason is it was a congressional redistricting year. That means the maps change, and that creates a lot of open seats, which creates a lot of opportunities to elect new progressive voices to Congress. And it's true, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of great candidates this cycle. But what we didn't realize is some powerful corporate forces who saw us winning wanted to put a stop to it. There's been almost $100 million of independent expenditure money spent in Democratic congressional primaries this year. Huge amounts of that money have come from groups like AIPAC's new super PAC, the United Democracy Project, which has alone spent about $20 million in politics. Just last week, they won a race helping to elect a former corporate lobbyist against a former progressive member of Congress in Maryland. They spent $6 million on that race. They've shown that they can step up with unbelievable amounts of money. We don't have that kind of money, but we can't show up empty-handed in races like this either. And we've been able to beat them even when we've been outspent, as long as we show up with a real plan. So races where Working Families Party and Justice Dems worked together to elect Summer Lee, they spent about $4 million trashing Summer Lee, making up lies against her. But we came in and we raised the money and bought ads and built the field program. And we didn't have their money, but together, and along with groups like the Congressional Progressive Caucus PAC and other groups, we were able to put together more than $1 million. And that was enough to help us get the W. So we've been winning and we've won a lot of races, but we really need folks to step up and join the movement in a deeper way, because there are unbelievable wells of money out there to stop our progress. We have people power, but that people power comes through knocking on doors. It also comes through all of us putting together our 10 and 20 and $500 and $1,000, and for people who can do it even more than that. And that's what it takes for us to all come together and win these races. And we're going to give Cori the strongest finish we can. And there's more primaries all the way through July, August, September too.
Okay, right on. Thank you so much, Joe, for really laying that out. These are exciting times. They're challenging times. And, if you think about all of that money that, AIPAC is just spending with their PAC, that $20 million, but all the other corporate money and the outside money and the right-wing money, in some ways, we could look at that and think about how the odds might be stacked against us. In other ways, when we put all that money together, they're spending that money because we're powerful. They understand that we're building a movement that is growing in its momentum, that more and more grassroots independent candidates that are deeply committed to the interest of everyday working people, that are committed when there's an opportunity to fight against organized capital and in defense of our environment, when there's an opportunity to fight against the bosses in defense of workers, that there are champions that are raising their hand and saying that they're ready to do battle. They know that that's happening more and more, and they're afraid. But the tides are turning in favor of our people, which is why they're spending this money, which is why they're so urgently trying to hold on to power. They understand that this is an existential crisis for their power, which is also why we need to keep organizing. And that's what's bringing us all together, to support candidates like Cori Bush. And when Cori wins, that's going to send a signal to the profiteers, to the corporations, to the bosses, that their time is over. Their time of being able to control the political conversation and be able to capture government is over, and that the people are beginning to organize in new ways to recapture government and make government work for the people, work for the planet, work for our families, and work for our communities. So if anybody here has been moved by Cori, by the amazing organizers from Justice Democrats and Working Families Party and elsewhere, have been moved by the activist artistry of Adam McKay, this is your invitation to get involved, to volunteer, to give money, and to demonstrate that people power, when it's aligned with a vision, can always overcome big money and the cynical voices of private capital. That is our mandate. We thank you. We love you. Let's get to the finish line. Take care. Solidarity.